How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
That's a general philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. Happy Monday. It is a new week here in Southern California, here at the studios. It's a good weekend, at least for me it was. I'm not sure if it was a good weekend for Qwan. Life good over there? Qwan Young, my co-host, he's producing over there as well.
Life is life. I love it. I had I went to the USA Mexico game.
You went to it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's been a long
Explains a lot, actually, because our friend from Detroit, Joey Kanish, bet on Mexico. And since you're from Detroit and you were in attendance, the reason Mexico lost is lining up now. The stars have aligned. I understand why it went down the way it did. I'll have to let them know.
I don't know. I don't get that logic, but yeah. I'll take it.
You're the mush. That's what the logic
Wait,
is.
I was cheering for the USA.
Doesn't matter. Detroit mush is too strong, man. It's just too strong. By the way, this is a show, Last Word Cheetah. We take your calls throughout the month, and we give away to the caller that wins the most units, the highest ROI, the most bets, money. And last August, July, last month, we gave Sarab $800. He got an extra $100 because he called in first before tie. Although, Sarab, you need to DM me. I couldn't find our DMs from last month. I owe you money, so DM me. You're probably listening. But it came down to Ty, who had a small lead, or excuse me, was playing from behind. Sarab had the small lead. Ty goes with a four-teamer. The most likely of the four legs was Japan, some Olympic event. He went with minus 700. The fourth leg of this four-teamer, it closed minus 1,000, and Ty lost. Japan didn't win, and Sarab takes it down. So congrats to Sarab. He wins a cool 800. And for August, we're resetting it. Everyone, Tone, including you, starting at 0-661-515 bets. But first, last Friday, we ran short on time. We talked to our friend Dylan at Thoughts of Dylan to break down and recap the ACC and college football. We're going to do Pac-12 later on the show, but I wanted to give Dylan his full run. We cut the interview short on Friday, so we're going to play that now, take a break afterward, and then we'll take your calls on the other side. So call in about 15 minutes. We're going to play this interview. And if you missed it last week, because I went through every day, I went through every single school. I think it's a total of 7 bets that I like in the ACC as far as season win totals. Dylan's going to tell me about what he thinks, where I was wrong, the ones he agrees with, and then anything else he thinks worth touching on at the end. So, Qwan, when you're ready, we'll roll that, and we'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, we have Dylan back on the Last Word Cheetah show. He joined us after we went through the Big Ten, did a little preview with us, told me the bets that I made that he disagreed with, the ones that he agreed with. Welcome back. This is at Thoughts of Dylan on Twitter. That's where you can find him. You ready to break down the ACC?
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to start with Miami. There was one bet that I liked on Monday. We went over 3 teams, Clemson, UNC, and Miami. And the one, I think, future price, the win total that stuck out the most was the Hurricanes at 9.5. Now there's a lot of 9s at plus money under. I liked it at 9.5 minus 140 or better. That is what we played on Monday. A lot of it, I think, outside of the fact that I think most people are saying, hey, it's UNC or Miami, Derek King, no problem, smooth recovery. The offense with Rhett Lashley in year 2 is going to be fantastic. It's possible. I still think there's a lot of uncertainty on Derek King being, 100% of who he was before and being 100% period. And there's the uncertainty with the fact that he just runs the ball so frequently that maybe he's not even going to be under center every game. But defensively, they ranked 10th in the conference in opponent EPA through the air when they weren't able to generate a pass rush. They had 2 of the best pass rushers in the conference in the country that left. They lose them, and I worry is defensively, Matt Diaz has relied on this like turnover chain mantra, right, the last few years, is if they're not able to generate that pass rush and force those turnovers, they're not good defensively. And then if J.R. King is not 100%, whatever it may be, my numbers think that they're more like an 8 or 9 win team more often than 10 or more, especially with their schedule. So give me your general thoughts on the Miami Hurricanes. If you side my way, lean one way or the other.
Yeah, I tend to agree with your sentiment. I do strongly agree with your point on the defensive line. I really don't think they're that good there. I mean, probably around average, maybe a little above average. And the secondary, I think, is good but not great. And, the offense usually wins in college football. And I don't know if they really have a game breaker at wide receiver, like a guy who can win one-on-one. And the offensive line, probably average at best. That'd be an improvement, actually. So, yeah I'm not they're a good team, but definitely not great.
So NC State, I'm not going to get into much because I know we're in agreement here. We've spoken before. I think he started 4 games, but I loved Devin Leary under center. The NC State Wolfpack offense, he took them to another level. He's obviously going to be a go this year and hopefully healthy majority. I like 6.5s at plus money or the 6s that were juiced earlier when we did this futures bet on Tuesday. Break down the NC State setup. I know that you like them and are bullish this year.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty high on Leary. I think he's probably one of the better QBs in the conference, and they're really deep elsewhere. They have good skill and depth. NC State, I think they're actually a pretty underrated program when it comes to, kind of having dudes. I really like the defense, and they have a decent amount of playmakers, and you kind of throw out the stats last year with the backup QB. So, yeah, I'm pretty bullish on them.
Beautiful. So that's one I know you had said that you agreed with. This one, I think maybe you're more tempered. I like Florida State over 5.5. Now, what's interesting about this, and we've broken it down a lot this week on the show, but there are 8 teams that are within about 19 or 20 spots of my power ratings after the UNC Miami tier. I think NC State's a little bit ahead of everyone else, but even including them, there's really 7 in like the next 15 spots or something. Florida State's one of those teams, and it's interesting because now I have kind of this dynamic in the conference where I have a lot of value on certain win totals just because the market is a lot more dispersed than my personal projections, and I'm taking into account, obviously, the strength of schedule and who they're going to be facing. But I have Florida State as a 6-win team or better often enough to beat the VIG on a 5.5. I think weird year 0 COVID conference, no real practice or setup for Mike Norvell, who came over and was awesome at Memphis. And what's crazy is that their running game ranked 4th in EPA per rush last year. And you remember at Memphis, you always see these explosive runs and outside zone runs that Norvell puts together. It worked to Florida State, too, and they didn't have a passing game. That ranked 121st in the country, and their defense was awful. So considering the talent they have, the recruiting, the scheme, having a real offseason, it's just a team that I don't see being 5 or fewer wins often enough. It's a smaller bet, I'll say that, relative to some of the others that I like, but it's just one, like, kind of on principle. The numbers say, the priors back it up. Seminoles over 5.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually a little lower on them in the market, but I'm not going to bet their win total just because I respect the talent and recruiting that they have. I mean, I think the key to their team, if you're kind of undecided, is what you think about them along the line of scrimmage. I know they had the good rushing stats last year, but I still don't think their line was that good overall, especially in pass protection. And I know they really put on like a full court press for the grad transfer O-lineman from Marshall, and they whiffed there. So I think that kind of tells you what they think of that. And they did add a D lineman from Georgia who's probably the best player on their team, and he was more of a, like a rotational player for them. So that's a nice upgrade on a unit that struggled. But then again, if your best player is a rotational player from a better team, I don't know if that's the best thing in the world. Receivers are, I mean, they have some potential, but I don't think they're that good. And then Milton, the quarterback's kind of a wild card. We assume he'll start, but how healthy is he? I respect their talent enough to not throw them in the trash, but I'm not bullish on them, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, that's part of what we talked about, too, was the upside of Mackenzie Milton potentially. And if he doesn't end up playing or it doesn't work out or he's not as healthy as he looked a few years ago when he was at UCF, they have someone that can step in at least that played plenty last year under center. But there is, I think, a ceiling that's a little higher for the Seminoles than their floor because of Milton and what he can bring to the table through the air and at least be a team that ranks better than 121st out of 127 teams passing the football. Real quick, the next one, I know you're in disagreement. You can get 6.5s on Virginia. I have to go under. I'm pretty sure my projection it wasn't even 6. It was like a 5.7 or a 5.8 if I recall. Their schedule is really tough. Even outside of the conference, they have to play BYU, Notre Dame, and then an Illinois game that's not a certain win. And I know people were surprised, myself included, last year, first year, Brennan Armstrong taking over, and they were just better offensively after Perkins left than people expected. Defensively, I always like Bronco Mendenhall, his scheme. They kind of plug whoever in, and they can be an above-average team defensively. But versus the schedule, I don't see them winning 7+. I know you disagree with me here, so tell me why you like Virginia.
Yeah, I didn't actually bet it myself, but I'm not too interested in the under because I think their offense is actually pretty good, even though it's unconventional. I think they can be pretty efficient, and their skill position players are all right, and their line, I think their old line's pretty experienced and pretty good. And on defense, you kind of touched on Mendenhall. He's known for that. He's really good there. And their secondary really struggled last year. But I think I kind of trust him to get it right. And if that happens, I think they're as good as almost anybody in the conference besides Clemson, UNC, Miami. And they even beat North Carolina last year. And Mendenhall teams in general, they strike me as a team who can pull upsets, kind of punch above their weight. And I think they have like 4 or so coin flip games or toss-up games, and if you put Virginia in one of those spots, I like them more often than not. I think they win between, I'd say 6 and 8 games. I do think they make a bowl game, so that's why I'm not too interested in going under.
Fair enough. Let's hit on my final 3, and then we'll let you drop a few games of the year. I believe that you said you bet anything week 1 that you potentially like. This next one for me is Louisville under 6.5. I believe we did this one on Wednesday, or maybe it was even yesterday. I think it was Wednesday, though. It's weird because everyone had Satterfield coming over 2 years ago. Louisville, overachieves. They win, I believe it was 8 games. Then they drop off last year. It was a weird year, and so I understand the sentiment that, hey, all right, let's throw that one out. Satterfield, year 3. You have Malik Cunningham. He's going to do his thing at quarterback. They had some issues last year, but they can make up for them. I just don't know because they lost so many talented playmakers around Cunningham from last year's team to the NFL that they can necessarily rely on him. And it's another team that, out of conference, they have to play Ole Miss, Kentucky. That's 2 SEC teams. You have to play UCF. And then you still have your actual conference schedule, which sees Clemson, Florida State, NC State, of the like. So for me, at 6.5, I just have to go under. I'm more like a 5.5 to 6 win projection for Louisville. So any thoughts there, thoughts on Satterfield, Cunningham, the defense?
Yeah, of the win totals I didn't bet, Louisville under is probably my favorite, and I might get around to it here soon. But yeah, I just think their defense was pretty poor and was really susceptible to explosive plays. And I don't see that getting much better. And you lose the 2 receivers, Fitzpatrick and Atwell. I think that was a large part of their success, along with Hawkins. And with them gone, that's a question. I really don't know what they do well besides the quarterback, he's a nice player, but I don't think he's the type that puts the team on his back to win games. So yeah, I think they're pretty much average to below average in every facet.
Yeah, and he turned it over at a rate that just isn't sustainable, and they probably had underlying metrics that said they should have scored more points, but Cunningham was trying to do too much with what he had, and the thing is he had a lot more last year than he does this year. So we're in agreement there. 2 more. These are both kind of on the smaller side, kind of like Florida State, but they're edges. And if you can get the Georgia Tech at 5, I think that's too high. I know it was a cool story that they go from flexbone option. Sims takes over freshman, and the Georgia Tech team was actually pretty good last year. But as a whole, I still don't project them out to being a 500 or better team enough. I like the under 5, and I have them projected right at 4. So it's actually one that I think I didn't mean to say smaller. Georgia Tech's a full play. Syracuse is a smaller one. I'll just let you hit on both of these because they are the bottom of the barrel in the ACC. Syracuse, if you can get the 3, I know there's some 3.5s. I project them more like 3.8, 3.9 wins. So at the 3, I do like the upside of potentially Dino Babers going to Garrett Schrader, the transfer from Mississippi State, and the offense just taking a leap because it was so bad a year ago. And they can hang enough with this off-season schedule. I think their first 4 games are winnable. So the over 3, they're going to be pick or small favorite in most of those. I just had to go take a shot there if you can get the 3. So anyway, thoughts on the bottom of the ACC with Georgia Tech and Syracuse?
Yeah, I think I think Sims is a good quarterback when you put him in a position to succeed and he has things around him, but I'm not sure that's the case outside of a good running back. And the defense was okay, but nothing to write home about. And yeah, like you said, their schedule's really tough. I think they can. They have like a little stretch before they play Georgia, and they play someone good before Georgia. I don't remember.
Notre Dame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they have a little stretch there where they basically need a peak. Yeah, I'm not sure they will. I'm not a big fan of them, but I didn't bet it myself just because I feel like there's a lot of variance in the ACC, like how you mentioned earlier. And even like, was it last year, 2 years ago? Like they beat Miami. Like even something like that could happen. It wouldn't shock me, just
Sure.
because they have a tendency to play down. And basically, all these teams besides Clemson have a potential to do that, in my opinion. And then Syracuse, kind of funny. I actually leaned under, and I almost made the bet myself, but I didn't, just because it's feasible. They start out 2-1, and then you steal an ACC game, and the dome's kind of a tough place to play, or it can be when they crank it up to 80 degrees, like my car is right now. So they could steal one, and their offensive line was pretty putrid. And I've read articles and they're talking like it's going to be improved, but I wouldn't hold them to that. And their secondary was actually decent last year, and they lose people from that. So if that takes a step back, they could be pretty bad. I saw yesterday you touched on Schrader, and I think maybe if they implement him and do maybe more of like a rushing attack type deal, maybe they can kind of grind out some games. But I'm not hopeful on that. That's more of a shot in the dark. So yeah, I think it's a fair number.
So yeah, the Schrader. Who was the quarterback before DeVito? Do you remember off the top of your head?
He
was gritty. He was kind of like the Schrader style where they ran with him more often.
Oh, Dungy.
Thank you, Dungy.
College football Twitter legend Eric Dungy. Yeah.
Yes, Dungy. Guy. That's who I'm hoping Schrader can be, because DeVito certainly is not.
Pretty
Go ahead.
Similar.
You're good.
Yeah. They're both not afraid to take a hit. Are you here?
Yeah, you're good. I was just making sure you were able to get that last word out. So, one quick thing, and then we'll let you hit on a few of your last points within the ACC conference. I just am looking at Georgia Tech's schedule, and I will say I talked myself into the Syracuse at 3 while we were doing the show yesterday. That's why I said it was on the smaller side. I was going to just pass because I just think it could be a total mess. The fact their offensive line just couldn't generate any push to run the football for an entire year is concerning for sure. And like you said, they say that they're improved, but you can't really bank on it. So you have to be able to get the 3, and it's a smaller play. But Georgia Tech, I love quite a bit. Look at their schedule. Even right off, Northern Illinois isn't a sure win in week 1, and then they have an FCS opponent. But even if they're 2-0 there, you go Clemson and UNC, who everyone mostly agrees are the 2 best teams in the conference. Pitt. Then you have Duke, Virginia. I guess those are more their winnable stretch. But then you talked about that stretch. They end with Georgia and Notre Dame. But even before that, it's Boston College, who a lot of people are high on, Miami, and Virginia Tech. I don't know how this team wins half their games. I just don't see it. So I love the Yellow Jackets under quite a bit.
It's funny. If you're Duke and Georgia Tech, I think that game's pretty much your Super Bowl. That's your chance to get a conference win. You know what I'm saying?
Circle it October 9th. Put it on the calendar. All right, so give us a couple bets that you made over the summer. I know you mentioned some games of the year and anything else.
Yeah, the only game of the year I played that's still alive, or the number's still good. I did play Notre Dame. I think they can impose their will on Florida State. I think their defense is good enough to shut them down. They can at least run the ball, and I'm actually a little higher on Jack Cohn than most people are. I'm not saying he's gonna be a first-round pick, but I think he's a above-average college QB. So yeah, as far as the ACC goes, Notre Dame week 1 is probably my favorite.
Okay, what number did you bet at that?
I bet 9.5. I think it's good to 10.
Okay, cool. So 9.5 or 10 on the Notre Dame side. Any season win totals? I think you mentioned just kind of agreeing with the Louisville sentiments, NC State, but there's nothing you actually fired there or any conference. It's weird because Clemson. I know we didn't talk about Clemson. It's just because they just destroy every single year. But there's nothing as far as a division or conference feature worthwhile.
Right, I agree on that. Yeah, but nothing in the ACC that I have that you didn't touch on, honestly. I think the most interesting team is Wake Forest. I think they could go either way. That's a team I would read up on more if anybody wants to do their homework. I think they're interesting. They could go either way. But yeah, nothing I bet.
Okay, that's good. I was on market. I love Hartman. We talked about it. It's like they can score 40 to 50 if they need to, but we referenced that UNC game from last year. I think the final was 59-53. UNC scored 21 straight in the fourth, 28 total in the fourth to win. And it's just tough to trust when the defense just can't be counted on like that, even if Hartman's going nuts and Wake's scoring. But perfect. We appreciate you jumping on. I know it was short notice, Dylan. Tell people real quick where they can find you on Twitter, and then we'll let you go.
You can find me at Thoughts of Dylan. Not much to say there, just mostly my thoughts on this type of stuff. But yeah, give it a follow if you want.
Perfect. We appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. I'm not sure, Qwan. We just finished that interview with Dylan from Friday. We wanted to play it. We wanted everyone to get the ACC recap. I've never said, hey, call in like 15 to 20 minutes before, because usually we just hit calls right out of the start of the show, the intro. We had like 7 people call. No. We had to put them all on. You guys can call in now. The lines are open. 661-515-BETS. Qwan kept answering until you guys was anyway. People figured it out.
I called Ty. Like Ty, I told Ty to hold on, and then Ty called.
He's still tilting on that Japan. That's the only reason. He's in his head. Yeah. He's thinking through everything he wants to say. He's like, oh, it's been at least 15 minutes, and it was only like 5. You guys, call back in now. We have some callers now. Okay. We're going to hit on them for a while. We have one more break we got to hit, and then we'll hit Pac-12 at the end. But we're open now. We're good. We appreciate it. Who's up first? Who do we got on the line?
Patrick.
Welcome. How's your weekend, Patrick?
Oh, what's up?
Life's good.
I've been in Gatlinburg, Tennessee for the last week. That's why I didn't play this week.
I think you got third because everyone else kept losing. At least you got third place, a little bronze medal.
Well, third place is the second loser.
Yeah, you got $0 for that. I apologize. But let's take it down this month. All right? What are you starting with?
Let's do it. You know what? NFL preseason is going on, and NFL preseason can be very, very profitable. You know what? I'm going to start with the Jaguars' first preseason game. Mm-hmm. They got a deep quarterback rotation with C.J. Beathard, Trevor Lawrence, and Gardner Minshew. It's Urban Meyer's first game. They're at home. I think they're going to want to come out and make a statement against the Browns, who have absolutely nothing to play for in the preseason. They don't want to risk it with Baker Mayfield and the rest of their starters. So I think the Jaguars have played. I played them at +4 like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it moved.
But the line's moved to plus. It's a +3 now, which the 3 isn't as important in preseason. So I want them on the money line. I think it's like +150.
Oh, wow. All right, let me pull up the screen on money line. I can tell you 145 is the best I can give you right now. Does that work?
I will take +145.
Okay.
Because
cool.
I mean, that's a correct assumption that +3 in the preseason. It's not. I mean, it's not nearly what it is in the regular season.
For sure. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know.
You'll have teams going for too late too, or even earlier now in games just for the sake. Of course. Yep. Yeah. No, I like it. I think it makes sense. I think his name is CJ Beathard, by the way, just to make sure the Beathard family, in case they're listening.
No, it is CJ Beathard.
If a Beathard is listening and wants to call and confirm one way or the other, please do. 661-515-BETS. Patrick, thanks for the call, man. We'll be rooting for Jacksonville.
See you, Preston.
Take it easy. Did he seem a little more tipsy than normal?
Yeah.
Is tipsy an okay word to describe that?
He was.
I don't drink, but there was a little something extra going on with Patrick. Is today a holiday?
No, he just got that energy, man. It's August. It's football season almost. I don't understand. I didn't know that the
maybe
preseason
it was. It's the
profitable.
NFL getting to him, man.
Yeah. Is the preseason really profitable?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty info based. So like you can figure out who's going to be playing, how many quarters. He's just banking on Urban Meyer trying to win his first game, even though it's preseason, and he likes the depth of quarterback and Beathard. So
Pete Hard.
Going with it. All right, who do we have up next? You can patch him through. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. Who are we talking to?
Hey, Cheetah, this is Brian.
What's up, Brian? Welcome back. How's your weekend?
How you doing? Oh,
I'm doing
great.
well.
Thank you.
Let us know what you like.
I'm going to go with the Nationals money line. I think the best price I saw was +106.
Yes, 106. You got it. Yep. Tell us why.
Thank you.
You got to tell us why. You can't just lock it in.
I guess I'm just excited to see Gray pitch. I was excited for him when he was with the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers, I mean, you can't really pass up on getting Scherzer and Turner, but I think they might end up regretting that trade a little bit. I just think Gray's going to be a superstar.
That's pretty spicy. You're talking to a Dodgers fan. Look, I'm wearing the hat right now. Regretting the Scherzer and Trey Turner trade because of John
I don't know
Gray.
about regretting it, but I think he's going to be a star.
Wow. All right. We're going to have to talk about this another time when we don't have a bunch of callers on hold, but I don't mind the plus money on John Gray. Yeah, go ahead.
John Gray plays for the Rockies. I think it's Josiah Gray.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Josiah, I agree. You're good. You think, though, because he has the elite potential, we were talking about because they're dealing the prospects, you think that's why the Dodgers will regret it then? Like I said, it's one of those things we'll have to revisit in a couple of years. But
yeah. Yep.
Interesting. I apologize about John Gray. And to all the Gray families, we're at Bethards and Beathards and the wrong Grays already. Great start. Hey, Brian, good luck tonight. Hopefully you take a W.
Thank you.
Reset the leaderboard, as everyone knows. So call in. Get your winners in. No parlays, because you guys just bombed all of them last month. Who we up with next? All right, we're going to take one more break. We'll hit the commercial. Thank you, Qwan, for the reminder. And then we'll be back after that for the rest of the show until the end of the hour. It is 661-515-BETS. Call in. We'll get you in shortly. Okay, we have Carlos. Thanks for waiting, bud. If you didn't hear, your hometown team, the Nationals, Brian went with Josiah Gray. I'm not sure if you have an opinion that is as bullish on Gray. I looked up some of his numbers just because I was curious. And he hasn't really pitched many innings since 2019, but he was really good in AAA for 15 innings last year. What did you think about the trade?
I mean, cleaning house, man, starting over, shutting it down. Gray, whatever. Listen, baseball is so hard for me to bet. I can tell you that right now. But I do want to.
You want to know why?
To Patrick, why is that?
I'm just kidding. I was just going to go back to your home run derby All-Star game incident, but I won't bring it up publicly.
The balls fall out the park.
Yeah.
The bats are hot. All that good stuff.
They've
Trust me, I have it in my
gone
brain.
9 straight under, so I got to go over. Yeah.
Yeah, that. There you go.
You're learning.
Trends. Yes, on the fly. It is C.J. Beathard because he is the grandson of our Washington football team Redskins general manager, Bobby Beathard. That I know. It's Beathard.
Yes. I knew it was Beathard, too. Patrick was just, I'm telling you, he was a little tipsy today. There's something going on with Patrick. But thank you for the clarification. I've been wrong before. Remember the Tyler Shuck name? We're going to talk Oregon later on the show. I botched it for the entire time. And then I was like, let's ask the Oregon caller. And he's like, yeah, I think it's Tyler Show. So I went with it. Anyway, I'll botch plenty of names pretty often. But thank you, Carlos. Do you have a non-parlay winner for us today? You said baseball's killing you. So.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh, Milwaukee over. You know why? Because it's a hitter's ballpark. How about that?
Phrasing. I love it. I love it.
I got to look something
Let's
up
go.
real quick. Do you know that it's a hitter's ballpark?
I'd like to think I do.
Listen,
Baseball
Carlos,
kills me,
while he's
bro.
looking
I'm waiting
this
for
up,
football, man.
Carlos, while he's looking this up, I just want to tell you that the next caller is Tone. So,
Easy way you say.
That's my guy. I like Tone.
that's the
my
same
man.
thing he said. I love the camaraderie.
Park factors this
I love
year.
Tone.
It's usually a top half hitters park. It's 3 this year. It was 15 last year. Going back a year before that, it's 17. So, I mean, this year it's graded out as more of a hitter's park than in frequent years. I'm not sure if they changed dimensions or anything. But, Carlos, I'll give it to you. We'll lock you in at 9 minus 107, by the way. All right? Does that work?
Appreciate it, brother.
Cool. You
Yes,
enjoy your
sir.
Monday, man. Take it easy.
Take care.
All right, let's patch him in. Who do we got next? Who are we talking to?
What's up, Preston?
Hello, sir. How's your weekend?
It was pretty good. How was yours?
It was pretty good. Yeah, hanging in there, getting ready for August, getting ready for, I'm hoping, an actual single bet on a play you actually like today as opposed to the 5-teamers.
Patrick was, he must have been hanging out with Bob. He sounded mangled. He didn't just sound buzzed. He sounded mangled.
Mangled's a good word, actually. There was something different about Patrick. So anyone that's been listening in regularly, I said it immediately after.
Normally
He was
he
very
sounds
adamant
like
about how to say
some-
his last name, too.
Yeah, I think he must have been on. I don't even know if it was booze. He must have just been off it.
Could be anything.
But yeah, the pick for today is the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals.
Wow. Can you tell us why?
It's the grossest play on the board. I was shocked that other kid called in. He was a big fan of Mr. Gray. But yeah, I mean, it's the first start of the year for Ranger Suarez. He's been a bullpen guy all year. He's been good. And he's just facing the gross Nationals, and we're riding the gross team.
I like it. I think your tune has changed entering the month of August. You're just going to go as contrarian as possible and see where it takes you these first few weeks. We can give you the plus 106 as well. That's still available. And, we'll lock you in. Actually, just went to plus 107 somewhere. I'm going to give you plus 107.
Oh.
I just saw the screen light go
word.
the other way. So I'll give you an extra cent because of the timing of the call. We appreciate it, Tone. You take it easy.
What about the A's giving up Luzardo for a half a year of Marte? That was crazy to me.
He was really bad this year. So I'm not sure if they just
I
know
know
something medically or what, but
stuff-
yeah, he was a
His stuff
huge.
is insane. I know his numbers stink this year, but his stuff is insane. To give up on your top pitching prospect
Yeah.
for a half a year guy, I thought that was crazy.
Are you an A's fan or are you just bringing it up?
No, not at all. I just think he has like electric stuff. So I
He was really good
shocked
2
they did
seasons
that.
ago. Yeah.
Yes, and they were bringing him out of the pen. Like, they were just throwing him in whenever they needed key outs. Like, I remember they were playing the Astros in playoffs last year. It would just literally come in, throw 3 innings out of the pen, and just mow guys down. But he's been bad this year, but I was shocked they gave him up for a half year of Marte for a team.
They
that
sent him
probably still
down,
won't.
too. I think they optioned him to AAA. And now I'm looking
Yeah.
up his numbers in AAA. He still had a 6.52 ERA. He was walking 5 per 9. Like, he's just all over the place. I don't know. It's really interesting, but I guess they just
Big good
thought
guy.
he lost it.
Yeah, I was shocked the Marlins actually might have made a decent trade for all the guys they've just been giving away lately.
They were due. Hey, we'll take it easy.
Yeah.
Good luck tonight. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, bro.
Is Ty up next officially? No, not yet.
Bob.
I know he called in at some point. It's Bob?
It's Bob.
All right, Bob. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. What do you like tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to defend Patrick. I mean, he told you earlier he's a CPA, so he probably just had a taxing return he had to work on. So give him some brag. give him some love,
Okay.
you know?
It was unlike him,
Yeah.
uncharacteristic, but things happen. I understand.
Yeah, he sounded out of breath, so I figured it was just a tough
Okay.
corporation LLC thing. But anyway, hey, all right, I got 2 plays. I'm not sure which because I'm staying away from parlays. A good friend of mine's advice. But Either the Brewers, because they got Lauer throwing, Pittsburgh doesn't hit lefties, and I don't know about the over that who wanted the over? Carlos. I think wanted the over, but yeah. And then Pittsburgh's got Wilson with like a 5 ERA, and he's a righty, and Milwaukee crushes righties, so that might get him the over. But that or else. So which one do you think? That or my beloved Mariners? They're underdog. But
I feel like not only do you bet the Mariners frequently, but you always bet them when Flexen's on the mound. I don't think you can stop now. You can get plus 191.
Mariners.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think you got to do it.
He's going to have a letdown. They won five in a row against interdivisional opponents. So they're looking at the Mariners saying they just trade away their closer. And okay. Mariners. Got it.
All right. There it is. Plus 191. Hometown. I think I think he did win one Mariners bet, but probably 1-5 or something backing Seattle on the show.
That sounds about right.
Better luck tonight, Bob. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
That's the life of a Mariners fan. Yeah, thanks.
That is true. All right. Do we have Ty officially? Is it Ty's turn?
No, but we got Andre.
All right. We'll hit Andre. Ty, I know you're waiting. I'm very intrigued to hear your response to what happened to you over the weekend. But we got Andre first. What's up, Andre? How you doing?
Preston, afternoon. How you doing? What's going on? Happy Monday. Straight to business. We got Team USA and Spain tonight. Team USA. I'm leaning Spain plus 12.5. Reason being, Preston, we're now in the elimination round. Okay? So all, the pleasantries out the window. Obviously, Team USA has to deliver and get the job done. But Spain, and I know, I learned from the last call in terms of, how people reason things, and this might not be the best method. But just looking at their, they lost to Slovenia by 8, and then they've had double-digit wins against, I believe it was Argentina and Japan. So they've been competitive. Obviously, Slovenia is one of the tougher teams. With Luka, they might advance, make it all the way, the championship, with that, young lion. But I just think the days of kind of 12.5, that's a lot for a quarterfinal game. Spain, they're obviously an aging team, with what they had previously with the Gasol brothers and Ricky Rubio and that group that really challenged Team USA in the 08 Olympics and 12 Olympics. They've all kind of phased out, so we have some new faces that we're not necessarily familiar with. But I just think in an elimination game, 13 points, that's a lot. You win. I think they'll probably be closer to what Slovenia did, 8, 9, 10. I just think it's going to be tough for them to get to 13.
Okay. We'll lock you in plus 12.5 on the Spain side. I actually kind of like Germany getting 16 against Slovenia. Just from a sheer, Luka's been so hot. Everyone's amped. No one's betting against him right now. I think you're getting a few extra points on the Germany side. Again, I'm not modeling
I gotta look at that one as well.
The Olympic men's, but I think Germany, and you can maybe even wait and get better than 16 by the time they tip off. But that's one I was actually talking with someone about earlier today. But we'll lock you in with Spain, man. Plus 12.5. Good luck.
Okay, Press. Appreciate the lead. Have a good one.
Take it easy. All right, let me know. Is it the man of the hour?
Yeah.
Ty, I feel so bad. It's not very often that you have a free $700 if a minus 1,000 favorite catches.
Yeah, Japan's on my never visit list now after that performance.
No longer a sushi fan. It's out.
No more. It's off the list.
It's rough, man. Do you have a bounce back banger of the month or something? We got to get you on the board.
I got some. Yeah, I just needed to let you guys know that. So I'm at a baseball tournament at Long Island, and there was almost like a massive fight, like so massive that it would have been like a Barstool viral video.
It's probably Carlos betting on the kid in the batter's box.
Yeah,
I actually know the nature of the fight, but I'll confirm later. Is everyone okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Everyone's good, dude.
Did you have to intervene?
I didn't get involved because it's a long story. But there was a coach in a dugout and a parent then got involved. Some curse words that I wanted to eat. It was getting
for sure was Carlos. Coach found out he's betting on 16-year-old baseball games.
Yeah, 100%. And that parent got escorted out. So when you get escorted out of a travel baseball game, I think
that's a lot.
There's some issues.
Yeah, that is fair. Carlos, we're just joking. Yeah, tell us what you like.
All right, this is what I'm going with. I'm going with the the men's 1,500 meter run in the Olympic side, I'm taking the Kenyan guy, Timothy something, as the favorite. Should be minus 140, 150. I don't know what the best price you'll see is, but I have minus 150.
I'm checking. You said it's the 1,500?
1,500 meter, yep.
Mm-hmm. I see the 400 on this board I'm looking at. Okay, I see it. You're looking for, Timothy.
Yep.
Minus 140. I'll give you minus 140.
Okay, and then I'm parlaying that. You guys are going to get a kick out of this, but there's a messed up line on the women's 200 meter sprint in canoeing.
There was what was it called? It was like drawing and canoeing at the same time event. There was a specific name for it. Artistry, maybe it was artistry kayaking.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, there was something,
Yeah.
but it blew me away.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, it's an Olympic event.
So
Chris
so
was
the line
taking
I'm
like
looking for
$5,000
here-
limits on it. It was insane. All right, sorry, go ahead.
That's last name is Carrington, Lisa Carrington. It should be minus 320 or 330.
Okay. What price are you getting? You said
then-
there was a mistake line.
Yeah, I got minus 330 on DK.
Okay. So let me plug this in.
And other
the,
other places it's higher. It's like 500 or more.
Okay. Just for some perspective, let's do a little teaching moment. I know we ended up finding that mistake line that was off a little bit. At minus 330 to break even, they have to win about 77% of the time. At minus 500, it's 83%, so it's about a 6% difference. So if it is a mistake line, it's 6%. That's about the same difference of like getting plus 110 on a minus 115, something like that.
Okay.
Just for it seems like it's a bigger discrepancy than it really is. So I'm guessing this one isn't a mistake. They probably want some action on the favorite, but we'll lock you in for the parlay. Minus 330 is minus 140. I think you're going to be at least plus 124.
Great.
We'll lock you in
I'll
there.
take it. I got to get back to this thing.
All right,
So
man.
have a
Good luck.
afternoon, boys.
Stop the fights.
Canoeing and drawing?
Yeah, did you find it? Were you Googling?
I see. Yeah, I'm Googling. I see canoe sprint, but I don't think that's it.
I don't either. We don't have any callers, right?
No.
All right, we got to hit Pac-12 and make sure I finish before the show ends. But you can keep searching. Let's throw up the first graphic. I'm going to just start getting into it. But hometown conference. I am a UCLA fan. I did graduate with my master's degree from the University of Utah, so there might be a little bias coming in. But we will start with the great state of Oregon. I should have asked Bob if he was liking the Ducks this year. They actually grade out pretty high for me. So they're not my 8th best ranked team in the country. Now, it's pretty much a tie with them and LSU and Wisconsin and Penn State. They're all within about a point of each other for what it's worth. So if you want to say, oh, wow, they're 8th, look, they could be 11th or 12th, and it wouldn't. Sure, fair argument. But as a whole, I am a little more bullish than I think others are. I think in general, it's going to come down to Anthony Brown, the transfer from Boston College at quarterback. Can he take over for Tyler Shuck? Shout out to the Shuck family. I think the skepticism is okay, but when you have an offensive line that returns 100% of its production, you have, is it CJ Verdell is just like a speedster. I think he's only 5'7", which, by the way, is it harder to tackle as a defensive back?
I hate
the fast guys that are shorter.
Like guarding smaller guys for me was horrible.
It's rough.
Quicker.
Right. He's so fast, but then he's short, and you don't get the same.
You can't get hands on him, and if you don't touch him and slow him down, you're toast.
No one can tackle the guy. It's ridiculous. So they have him. They also have 4 really highly touted, rated receivers. And Anthony Brown at Boston College, who very infrequently ran RPO at Boston College, graded out extremely well when they did run RPO. And that's what Joe Moorhead does from Mississippi State, Penn State prior to that. He's the offensive coordinator at Oregon. That's what they generally run for the Ducks. So I just think the setup for Anthony Brown with the defense that's elite as well. I think they have a top 2 secondary, and let me pull it up actually, just so I'm not incorrect. Defensive line for sure. They bring back a strong. Let me have the wrong tab. Yep, top defensive line in the Pac-12, secondary. So you have a defense that expects to improve and an offense that I think has a ton of upside. Now, I will say this, getting back to that same point we were making with Ty, minus 110s on the board to win the North. You can get plus 110. So that's like a 5% difference, which is actually the difference, in my opinion, of it being a worthwhile bet. If you can get, there's I think 3 books in the U.S. that offer plus 110. I would bet that at minus 110. It's pretty close to fair considering their toughest opponent in the North is going to be Washington. They play them on the road. Oregon still projects to be a small favorite there, but as a whole, I think that's the difference of whether it's a worthwhile bet. And the 9, even though I feel like I'm bullish on Oregon, I'm 9.2. The 9's pretty much fair. I wouldn't be betting it unless you can get an 8.5 that's reasonably priced. USC, a team that I generally feel like has way more talent and just underachieves and underperforms over and over. You can say that about Clay Helton just ever since he's gone there. Last year, their offense with Slovis, year 2, who was awesome as a freshman, air raid style offense, they were absolutely pathetic in the red zone. They couldn't finish drives. I think their offense finished just barely in the top 60 in a lot of the metrics from being one that projected to be a top 10 offense. Now, can they figure that out with all the talent USC brings to the table? Can Helton and Slovis figure it out? I don't know, but if they do, they have a ton of upside. I think defensively, Todd Orlando came in, and actually they had a top 25 defense in a lot of the metrics, and people kind of forgot about Todd Orlando. When he was at Utah State, they were elite. Then he follows Tom Herman to Houston, really good. Then he goes to Texas, and it was a mess. And people blame Orlando for that. Maybe it was his fault, but look, he goes to USC last year, and the defense improved dramatically. So I think their defense will be similarly good, and there is upside on the Trojans if they can figure out the scoring issues. I project them, let me pull this other tab back up, I believe 9 wins. So at 8.5, if you can get, I know it's weird because I'm about to get into Utah. It's weird betting overs on 2 teams in the same division, but my numbers like USC. Their out-of-conference schedule sets up pretty routinely. There's nothing too crazy. Like Oregon, for example, plays Ohio State out of conference. That's a little tougher. But I like the 8.5s on USC. So hopefully Slovis and Helton can figure out scoring when they're inside the red zone. They get into a top 10 offense. I think they're going to have a top 25-ish defense, and with the schedule, that gets them to 9+ wins. Now, Utah, he has an 8 on the board. There are not too many 8s left. This is the difference again for me. I'd bet the 8s that, for example, BetMGM has minus 150. I'd bet the minus 150s on the 8s. I wouldn't bet the 8.5s that are minus 140. I think it's moved some even just the past week or so since I was starting to do some more Pac-12 work last week. I like Utah, similar type of upside with the offense that brings back a ton of weapons after. Look, Coach Whittingham, by the way, just ridiculously consistent. Defensively, offensively, they always have some of the best fronts on each side of the ball. I believe they also bring back 100% of their offensive line play from last year, but they've been shuffling through quarterbacks. They get Charlie Brewer transferring in from Baylor, who I think has the best arm of any of these QBs that have tried to play for Utah. And they've still done well despite the lack of quarterback play and the ability to really throw the football consistently. So you add that to a run game, weapons around them at wide receiver and tight end, and a defense that's just always going to be elite. I think there's a ton of upside for Utah. Believe it or not, a month ago, I actually was able to bet them at 17-1 to win the conference. Now the best price you can get is 7-1. Like, it was just completely, people were just behind on the Utah thing. I don't know what it was. There was a 14-1 and a 17-1, and those are long gone. So I wouldn't suggest chasing and betting 6 or 7-1 now. Definitely not that. But I do think if you can get the 8s at a few of the spots that have it at minus 150 or better, that's a worthwhile play over. I am 8.8 wins projected, and just the 7 and 5 are worse with their schedule set up. Just doesn't happen very frequently. Last but not least, Washington, a team that's right in that mix with Utah. They're a few spots lower. By the way, I have Utah, I believe, 15th, Washington at 21st. So these are 4 teams that are almost in my top 20, but at least top 25. And Washington, it was a weird year. I think they only played 4 games. It was a weird COVID season, and Jimmy Lake took over. It was his first season, so it was even extra weird because Chris Peterson left, and he had been doing stuff with the defensive he's like a co-defensive coordinator, I believe. So the thought was, oh, well, he'll step right in. Everything will be okay. Maybe that's the case. The problem is that they had a weird year where they couldn't prep, and they just jump into a few games, and Dylan Morris was the true freshman quarterback who was really good on short throws. He graded out elite on play-by-play data at PFF, but he graded out really below average on intermediate and deep throws. So can they figure out an offense where Dylan Morris now with a real off season, his second season, if you want to even count 4 games as the first season? I'm skeptical. I think a lot of people, I believe Phil Steele has Washington like in his top 12 or 13. And it was one of his main surprise teams. He always does his surprise teams of the year. I think Washington was his number 1 surprise team. Look, they have a great secondary. The defense actually fell off, and I'm now a little bit, I think they lost the defensive coordinator that was calling the plays to Texas. And Jimmy Lake's there, and it's like, oh, well, they'll be okay. I actually have some question marks on the defensive side, along with Morris at quarterback. I'm a little more bearish Washington. I'm not enough to bet 8.5, but again, enough that I think even though they get the home matchup against Oregon, Oregon's a tier better than the Huskies, and so I like Oregon at plus money to win the division in the North. And yeah, that wraps it up, man. I think we're good. Any thoughts? Anything that you want to add? You still thinking about how you couldn't tackle a 5'7" running back?
For I started looking for the canoeing and the sprint thing. I can't or the painting and the kite.
I was on a podcast with Rufus Peabody and Jeff Ma. Bet the Process. Go listen to it. Rufus mentioned something about drawing and canoeing or kayaking event. Maybe he was making it up and just being facetious.
Gotta be.
But how do you row, draw, and then how do you actually grade the drawing if it's just a matter of a timed event? I had the same question.
What are you?
Kind of why I brought it up.
Are there certain things that you can draw? Are you drawing competitors? You
have to draw each other.
Yeah,
it could be.
It's a battle. Yeah, whoever has the best. It's like speed, artistic quality.
Some sort of mix in the judges. That's what I was guessing is like, wow, really straight lines over there. Plus you were the third fastest. Like you win gold. I don't know. Like we got to get to the bottom of this. Yeah, I'll message him after the show.
I need to know. And we need Sarab to call in and do like a victory lap.
He plays it cool. He just waits till he has free money. He just bets 5 to 1s that never lose. He's like, oh, first quarters, overs, just hit for the longest time. And he doesn't even want his money. I'm sorry. DM me. I couldn't find our old DM from June where I think he chopped. So he was the co-winner the first month, and then he wins $800 for July. We'll be giving away more money in August, so that's why people call in. They try to lock up their W's. We'll track it throughout the month. We'll do better at tracking too, so that.
I think I got this one right without asking you. It was simple, but that's where it starts. It starts at the principles, the basic stuff, the foundation.
How did he get to plus 11? Wasn't he like
one
plus
unit? It was 10.1.
He was at 10.1?
Yeah.
Him and Ty were up into the 10s? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had me.
That's still a little suspect. We know that he won.
Listen, it's right. No, if anybody wants to dispute it, I don't care. It's right. Sarb won. And I have a question for you. Speaking of vegan jar and leaderboards and stuff. You posted a picture earlier on Twitter.
Oh.
Are you doing another vegan challenge?
No. So this week I have a bunch of extended family coming in to Newport Beach to hang with us. And tonight, I think they're all flying in last night or today. But we're making guacamole. We're doing like carne asada, tacos. And my mom said, I'm going to buy guacamole from the store. And I hit my fist on the desk and I said, that's blasphemy. I'm going to the farm on my way to the studio. I'm picking up stuff to make guac. Well, I get there and they have these corbachi peppers that just never had before. I don't even remember if I've had them specifically in the past. They're like a sweet pepper. They're not as spicy. And then they had lavender, which I've never seen before, but they grow lavender there. It smells fantastic. If you've never had lavender before and stuff, I love it. And I was like, wow, wouldn't lavender in a guacamole with these peppers make sense? Like it kind of things were flowing. So I bought it. I'll do a batch that doesn't have it. That's just regular.
I would like to try some.
Well, I mean, I don't think they sell it at Wendy's, but maybe I'll sell it to Wendy's to serve you breakfast tomorrow morning, or come by the place at Newport Beach. You can come have a dip. But anyway, we'll see if it's any good. I'll be first to admit if it's awful. But the corbachis with some lavender and the guac, you can't do too much. It's strong, but it might work out. And I'll do a spicy version that's more standard. But anyway, tomorrow we will not be live. We will be back 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Wednesday. So if you're looking for us tomorrow, we're carrying this over to Wednesday. This is Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. I'm Preston with Qwan. Take care.